Alright, show love. I am live. I guess I am live. I'm trying to learn how to share the screen and the sound. I'm by myself. I'm not with our lovely host. This is separate. We'll be back for our women's podcast next week. So my live is very spontaneous. So y'all gonna get what you get. I hope you are counting the Omar. I don't know where you are in your Omar count, but I really hope that you're counting the Omar if you are in this walk, right? If you are keeping Torah, I hope you count the Omar. I hope you're not just out here going off on your family because they don't want to believe what you believe. I hope you are counting the Omar. We are counting down to Revelation, right? This is the prophetic understanding of counting the Omar. It's not the only understanding, but one of the prophetic understandings of counting the Omar is counting down to revelation, the revealing of the Torah, the revealing of the commands, and how we apply it to our lives in 2025 is what is Yah revealing to you this year in this season. That is what counting the Omar is preparing you for, preparing your heart, preparing your mind to be able to hear, to be able to see the revelation that is coming during Shavuot. So, are you counting the Omar? Are you preparing your mind? Are you cleansing your mind? Right? Are you still watching things that is going to make you upset and confused? Are you still listening to 50,000 different prophetic people all over YouTube, right? All over TikTok, everywhere. Are you still listening or are you sitting, waiting for the revelation? Because part of the problem, as with our ancestors, is that when the Most High directly spoke with his people, we were all prophets at that time, directly speaking to his people from mouth to mouth. And we said, that's all right. We can't take that. Don't speak to us directly. Do not directly speak to us. You're going to have to speak to what we call a prophet to tell us. However, in 2025, prophets are sketchy. They are unlearned, right? They are not seasoned and they are stabbing or groping in the dark. They can see darkly, right? So we want to make sure that we are cleansing our heart and mind to get ready for Shavuot if you have not celebrated. So let me stop this. Do I stop sharing? I'm gonna, I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute. Because we now why it tell me to get in there? I'm not even in the frame. Can y'all see me? It told me to put it in this mode. Y'all can see me? Okay. Because I was not in the frame. All right, we're gonna get it together. We're gonna get it together. I know we are here for what we would call end time talk, which I just do not like. But the way that I'm gonna discuss it is mid-rashing. We're gonna mid-rash, okay? We're not going to start prophesying. That's what we're not gonna do. We're going to mid-rash, and um we're gonna just talk and perceive, right? Because that's my lane, and I'm gonna explain that to you in a minute. So do not get used to me coming on here talking about no end times. If that's what you want and craving, this ain't it. This is me on here periodically because someone asks a question. And so I said, well, let me answer the question from a Hebraic perspective. What I'm seeing, what my friends are seeing that have the gifts of the prophetic that I respect. And let's just mid-rash because we want to talk about the mark of the beast from a Hebraic perspective. I know all of us have seen the Left Behind series, and we have that stuck in our head, right? We just do, and we have a Western perspective of the end times. That's just what we have. Okay, we don't have nothing else because we're still learning Torah. We're learning our language, and that's another part of the problem. We don't agree on the language, so therefore, we're trying to interpret um, the book of Revelation of Messiah, because that's what the book of Revelation is, of Hamashiach, and we're trying to decipher that, and we don't know our Hebrew language and culture and so on. So we're stabbing in the dark. So we're gonna talk the mark of the beast, because I want to see where I want to start, because it's not going to be really long. Mark of the beast. Well, let me just go for the juggler. The mark of the beast. So let's take Mark, right? So anybody that is studying Hebrew, right? The mark. We should know that. It's a sign. The mark or sign is what we will equate to Shabbat. Shabbat is a sign between Israel and the Most High, right? It is a sign, it is a covenant. So the mark is always pointing to some type of covenant. But for us, the covenant between the Most High and his people, right? So that's a mark, and then you'll have signs. A sign of the covenant is Shabbat, something that you do. We gather on the seventh day to rest from work, to sit with our Elohim, to be refreshed, to refresh ourselves, and to receive revelation for the week ahead. Now, if you are in the Shabbat service and it's just ritualistic and religious, and you are not being refreshed, and you are not able to receive what you need for the week ahead, and you're just sitting in your assemblies debating over scripture and what is what, I feel so sorry for you, because Shabbat is about resting from your work, but also sitting at the table with your creator so he can feed you for the week ahead, right? It's also receiving revelation, because inside of that word shalom, Shabbat shalom, we have this authority to destroy chaos that's coming for the work week. So inside of the Shabbat, you are supposed to be receiving revelation on how to destroy this chaos that may show up during your work week or your school week. So this is what Shabbat is. It's a sign of the covenant. It's a mark, is a sign. So I think we okay with that. So the mark of the beast. So if the mark is a covenant or a sign, so it is on the opposite end, right? So a beast is nothing more than an unruly creature, right? So you can look up the word beast. You can break it down on your study time, because as I said in the chat, let's study together. You can put your comments in the chat, but the covenant or the sign of the unruly beast or the unruly system. Because the way that I am looking at it is that the mark of the beast, the covenant, the sign is the system. And it's unruly, meaning do what thou will. It's a system of do what thou will, but really you're not doing what you want to do. You're doing what the enemy wants you to do. But do what thou will, the mark or the covenant or the sign of the system. Now, a system, what is a system? Because a system is something that you cannot see. It is like an Elohim. So a system, right? A system. Let's just look it up. Who gonna help me look it up? Because this is how we study. What is a system? Let's look it up, because I know what it is, but I want to read it to you all, and I want us all to learn how to study. Right? A set of things working together as parts of a mechanism or an interconnecting network. What I really like is it is a set of principles and procedures according to which something is done an organized framework or method. That's what a system is. So, principles and procedures and interconnecting and networking, these are all things that are taking place behind the scenes. So, this is what a system is. Like an Elohim, like our Elohim cannot be seen with the naked eye, but our Elohim has a system of commandments and rituals and language and so forth, right? So, it's a system. So, we have this system that's like an Elohim. However, this particular mark of the beast or the system of the unruly one has grown over time. So we have Babylon, the establishing of the system, right? And we see over time that the system has gotten really advanced. And for those of us who are older, the system, you couldn't really see it or hear it until radio. Then all of a sudden, this system and procedures and complex connections, you can hear it. And everybody gathered around the radio to hear their favorite talk show. So you can hear the system. Now we keep going over time. You can see the system. We have TV. We got cameras where we can see the system. We can see these procedures and interconnecting networks. So we can hear now through the radio and we can see. We also keep going, and now we have computers. And this is where we can code within the system. We can code within the system. So people that know how to code, you really know what I'm talking about. Because when I taught that coding class, honey, I didn't know what I was doing. I was learning with the kids, and the kids was outdoing me with coding different things and just learning how to make things move and talk. And it was a bunch of numbers and a bunch of letters. And for us older people, remember when computers came out, we were coding. We just didn't know it. That's what it was called. Really, we were coding. We couldn't just type, do all this typing at first. You had to like do codes if you old enough to remember, right? Because I learned how to type on a typewriter. So I'm old enough to remember that we had to code in order to get up on the computer. Now y'all just can talk and things pop up, right? So we have hearing, we see. Now we're coding the system. And inside this system, you can do whatever you want to. The system is very unruly. Wouldn't y'all say that? It's very unruly. No matter how many times we complain about porn, child pornography, sex trafficking, the system ain't tearing it down. It'll tear this video down for talking about this, but I bet you it won't tear that pornography down. I bet you it won't tear hate speech down. So it's do what thou will within the system, within this unruly beast, this mark of the beast, right? This little covenant that they got going on that we are participating in. Now, how much participation are you gonna do? Right? We owe here now. And I don't think technology is a bad thing, but let's face it, more bad is done with technology than good, right? Because all the good that technology can do to really help keep us connected and serve humanity, it is used for evil. It really is. The dark web and all of that stuff is off the chain. So this system, this mark of the beast, has now you can code. Now this is why sciences is so popular, and I still believe, you need to be in the STEM program, right? You need to do what you have to do so that we can live and survive within the system. Right. So it doesn't mean because see, we could get real fanatical. Oh, she said the system is this, so we can't know. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the unruly beast is using the system to do what it wants to do, right? We live in this system, we live in this world, this fallen state. We have to do what we have to do as long as we are not breaking Torah. But the way that the unruly beast is going to, that has gotten us to break Torah, because let's face it, a lot of our people are addicted. We addicted to TikTok. We're just addicted. It's not bad to get on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. It's the addiction that it does to your brain. So we could talk about all type of stuff that the system does to get us addicted, which it is doing now. So we have the computers, we have coding, and I'm not a tech, so I'm sure tech people can really go into the different levels. But now, what Tina understands is that we have AI. Now, AI something else. AI is recreating videos. They'll take this image of me and recreate and have me saying stuff that I don't even say. Now, AI, from my personal opinion, is not as advanced because I can tell when something is AI, right? You can just tell. You have to discern and look. For older people, it might be a little harder, but you could tell when something is AI generated. I mean, I saw whole trailers of like let's say Men in Black 7. I'm just using that. But it's probably some out there recreating and trying to tell you that a new Men in Black movie is coming out. And I click on it. And I'm like, this ain't no doggone Men Black. And then it created their own trailer. So we have people, pastors, and preachers who AI has taken their faces and take the image, and people have created stuff out of that. It's wild out here, but you should be able to tell. Even in my research, AI still don't know what I know. Like for instance, when I tried to research Mark of the Beast 666, AI AI was like, it's still, it's you need more discernment and wisdom in order to understand the 666. I was like, I know you do. I know you do. So AI is advanced. It really is advanced. We have AI robots. Okay, I have a little robot that pick up the trash. We have robots, but the scary part is that we don't just have robots like R2D2. I'm old, Star Trek. Um, we have human looking robots. We have human looking robots who people have had sex with and have made a covenant of marriage with. Now I know they probably ain't gonna call it a covenant, but we're talking about Bible, right? We're talking about the Hebraic understanding. Had made a covenant with these robots. Can you imagine till death do us part? You big dummy, marrying robots. And so with that, I said, you know what? This really sounds familiar with AI being so advanced that now you have the fake humans. So what are you trying to say? So for me, in my discernment, and I'm perceiving that AI has now created a son. And we just mid it. You ain't got to agree with me. This is a part of how people who operate in a prophetic you mid rash. It seems like he got a son. Son is AI. First is the system, the principles, the procedures. Then he get a little bit more fancy. I'm gonna make you hear what I'm saying through the radio. Now I'm gonna make you see me. And the system is getting ready all for the son of the system, which is the AI. These human like robots that can tell you what to do and service you, like a maid or whatever. And I know y'all seen these human form robots. My son is in tech, and just him sending us videos occasionally of the latest invention of these robots. I said, man, oh man, it is getting scary out here. And I said, This AI seems like the sun because everything that the enemy does has to be a mockery. Everything that the enemy does has to be a mockery. He is not one that just can create from nothing. He has to take something, right, and try to recreate it in his image. So for me, the unruly system and his son AI is going to be so technologically advanced that your children will not know the difference. That leads me to education, which I am in. I was in nursing for 15 years. Now I'm in education. And what is horrifying me is that our people cannot read. Y'all always know I'm fussing about people can't read, cannot read and comprehend. So I went into the school system because I have a homeschool hub. And I said, you know what, let me go in the system because everybody's sitting on YouTube and TikTok and you getting your information from there, that's fine. But I want to go in just like I went into nursing. I want to go in and see for myself. I want to learn for myself. And baby, it's as wild as they say it is on the TikTok and on Instagram. It's wild in the public schools, right where you sending your children. And I hate to tell y'all that. And I'm not trying to bash parents for sending their children to public school. Again, you got to do what you got to do. But you should be more involved because they are getting ready to do away with that whole system. Now, I know that our current administration is dismantling, everything, which Department of Education, you have to talk to a teacher about the Department of Education. Don't nobody get that out of here. I was like, why is the feds in the state's business? So that's a whole different thing. Teachers, you could dismantle the part, please do. However, it's just smoke screen, right? What it is smoke screen. If you falling for the politics of today, no matter who is in the office, it's smokescreen. And I'm speaking for North America. I don't live anywhere else. I live in North America. It's smokescreen. So I asked the teachers, because I'm like, ain't nobody gonna say nothing. And I know they are. I'm not saying teachers, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying ain't nobody like this means that we getting ready for something. That's how I'm thinking in the school system. I'm like, this is not just happenstance. This is we're getting ready for something. So I asked the teacher straight up. I said, where do you see education in the next 10 to 20 years? He was like, oh, ain't gonna be no education in the next 10 to 20 years. People gonna be trying to homeschool their children because of what's getting ready to happen. It really is AI. If you have not been noticing, they have AI led classes already where robots are teaching the children. And everybody think that's so cool. As a matter of fact, today I subbed for the first grade and the teacher said, because I'm old school, I'm looking for paper. Some teachers still use paper, the lesson plans, show me on a piece of paper. They got the big screen up there, but I am who I am. I like paper, I like tangible things. But some people like to put it on the screen and on the little tablets. Well, lo and behold, all of the assignments for your little bitty first graders is on the tablets. And I'm like, now on the inside, I'm like, that's not good. But on the outside, I'm like, oh, teacher, you don't have to use so much paper, you don't have to print. I get it. I get it from a logical perspective. Like, she was like, technology is great. It has saved me, honey. I just load all their work on their little tablets and I just let them do it. And I'm like, first graders? First graders. You just load all and they just sitting at the desk on the I was like, I just don't agree with that. I know we are in our tech. I understand that. I don't agree with that as a teacher, especially with the little ones. And that baby, one of them baby went to sleep. I let her sleep for 2 hours. I sure did. I did not wake that baby up because I'm like, y'all don't understand what it's doing to our children's brains. Like the little babies with the phones and they know how to work it better than me. Y'all don't understand what the unruly system is prepping your grandchildren for. because they cannot read and write. You speak everything. Alexa, I don't even use Alexa. Call me what you want. My son don't use Alexa. He has a really big tech channel. As a matter of fact, my son said, "Ma, when I have children, they will not have technology in their hand when they are young." He refused to do it. I didn't do it because I couldn't afford to do it. No dark way. I was poor. I didn't have a cell phone till well in my 20s. My children, they didn't get a cell phone until they were teenagers, like in high school. Like I think, like junior high, they may have had those phones that only had your mama, your daddy, your grandma. They may have had that, but I couldn't afford all that technology. But no, it's a no. My son said it's a no. As a matter of fact, I seen one TikTok where the girl said that her 3 year old, when she sent her to preschool, the preschool, she didn't understand why there was a big phone on the screen. So her 3 year old is not allowed to have technology. She has technology, I think a half an hour a day where she could watch her favorite show, and that's it. As a 3 year old, her mom refuses to give her, technology except for a leapfrog, stuff like that, where she's always learning. She has to play tangible because kids are kinesthetic learners. Okay, so education wise, they're setting your children up for failure. They cannot read, they cannot write, and they cannot do math. But guess who can read and write and do math? AI. Guess who you training with your Alexa in your kitchen and in your bathroom and in your bedroom, and your kids are watching you. They don't even have to tell time anymore. Guess who doing that? AI. Guess who's training your children? The unruly system. That's the mark of the beast. You looking for the Christian left behind. You looking for a man to come put a mark in your hand and your forehead. That's what you looking for. But because our Bible has been misinterpreted by Western ideology, this Bible is an Eastern book, and it's a historical book. And it has instructions and codes inside of the book to help you even in 2025. But you disregard it because you inside the system. You are being ruled by the mark of the beast or the unruly one. And your children, he worried about your old antique self. He worried about your great grandchildren. By the time your great grandchildren get on the scene, the Bible probably will be rewritten. Because remember, your children can't read no way. Your children can't comprehend no way. Your children cannot count no way. How they gonna tell time? How they gonna know when seasons is changed? How they gonna know anything? Because Alexa and AI is running everything. It is right in your house. And they watching you do it. They watching you give them all of the electronics, all of the phones, all of the games. You're giving them the life you never had through the unruly beast, and you're overdoing it. And you yourself, Hasatan, remember, those of us that are in the faith, Hasatan can't curse us. We got to curse ourselves. It's out of our mouth. It's out of our doing. We have to break the commandments to curse ourselves. He can influence us right through AI. Oh, get that baby that phone. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Girl, don't listen to them. They old. Get that baby. Your elders are always going to go against the crowd. We're always going to tell you what you don't want to hear. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. Well, ain't nothing wrong with me giving my little nephew or my little grandbaby this phone. Let me get him get this phone. Wait, can his brain finish developing? Because if he gonna have a phone, can he read? Because you can start reading early as possible. I say it ain't never too young to read. I used to read to my firstborn in the womb, and that boy, out of all my children, no matter what he doing in life, that's the smartest child I have. I read to him in the womb. That baby went through a whole brainstem injury, coma for 30 days, woke up, and I got him tested for his intellect, and that man came out that test. He said, "Ma'am, he may have went through a coma, but ain't nothing wrong with his intellect." Because I believe in that. And I'm not perfect. I'm just telling you as a teacher what we are coming up against and what AI is getting ready to do to your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. And he's using you, and you think that you're waiting on it got to be the next pope. I be cracking up. It's the orange man. We so confused. We looking for a whole human being. But this machine is sitting right in your house. We own it right now. And we are addicted to it. And you looking for a human. I'm just saying. So by the time your great grandchildren or grandchildren get, the Bible could be rewritten. I'm not saying that it is, but I'm getting you to think. When you leave here, you got to think about your generations down the line. You just can't think right now, well, we gonna be rescues, Russia coming to get. I mean, I was like, you ain't thinking about your next two generations. You just thinking about, okay, all right, all right, all right. Finances. I wish my husband could get over here. I already said what I had to say about finances. Yes, we're gonna have a really bad recession. Gonna be worse than 2008. But you supposed to have been preparing. So I don't even want to keep rehashing that because you're supposed to be prepared. Let me tell you something. My husband called me the other day and he let me get on the phone. And them people, we need a part for our truck. And he was calling around. Them people said because of tariffs, it's a 240% hike in prices. I said, boy, 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 good old America. And somebody asked in my last video, and I didn't want to be sarcastic and nasty with him. So I said, he said, so they're gonna hike up the prices with the stuff that's already on the shelf. Negro, have you been living in America? Do you understand? That's what they do. That's the American way. Yes, they're gonna hike up the prices before the inventory get low. Y'all thinking that the shelves gonna be empty? Them businesses been had the overflow stock. They gonna hike up them prices now. I keep telling y'all they been hiking them up. 240%. That came out of that man's mouth. I said, doop doop doop. People think I'm just talking. I said, how you gonna afford? And that's what we pray. We pray that the Most High will bless us and connect us with the right people at the right place at the right time with the right resources. So if you are in the kingdom, that's how you should be talking. Somebody quote you 240% hike increase in the tariffs, and they haven't even finished negotiating, and stuff haven't even, gone off the shelves. They still have inventory. You got to learn how to pray, and not just pray, but you got to be walking upright to get that favor. But I'm saying that's what's going on. And another thing that you all probably are not privy to is that when COVID was here, certain neighborhoods, wink, wink, did not have stuff on the shelves. Certain neighborhoods went without, wink, wink. And other neighborhoods did never go without, wink, wink. We know because we shop. I said, I know you lying. And every time we went to a certain neighborhood to shop, they never had empty shelves through the whole COVID. Wink, wink. Y'all better, y'all, the unruly system is training you in your mind. That's what it's doing. And we live in America, we should know by now. That's just how American greed, that's just how it is. So, yes, you're going to see price hikes. I'm going to go out to say that you probably won't see empty shelves because they about to hike up the prices so high, you ain't even going to be able to afford it. Or you're going to be able to afford one. You know what I'm saying? Like the current president said, well, you don't need $30. You just need $2. And maybe those $2 is going to cost more. I said, boy, they tell you in your face, you're just not listening. You're just not listening. It's not that there's not going to be any dolls. That's not what he said. He didn't say there won't be any dolls on the shelves. He said instead of $30, all you need is probably about two. And those $2 are going to cost you more. Wink, wink. So instead of us letting the machine scare us into there's not going to be any goods on the shelves, it's that's not how it works. And I'm gonna have my husband come on, so he could tell you because that's his lane, and he'll be able to tell you. He's been in trucking for 30 years. Okay, so he know more than me. But wink, wink, you about to pay. And if you haven't been saving and planning and prepping, like you should, then you better start because it ain't gonna be no joke with that. All right. China. I'm not really gonna touch China the dragon. All I'm gonna do is tell you what I saw. So about 5 or 6 years ago, minding my own business, I had a vision. It was just a vision. So that should let you know what lane I'm in. So I had a vision. And I'm like, I see I see the leader of China with all of his leaders around him. They just standing up there cheesing at me. I'm like, what is you cheesing at? This is how I talk, y'all. What is you smiling at? And I look up above the leader's head of the country and I see warship. Big. It's like it was floating. And I'm like, warship? What that mean? Boy, hey. And now I'm like, oh, warship. I'm like, duh, warship. And they were smiling. That's all I'm going to tell you because I'm not about to do the interpretation. I'm just going to tell you exactly what I saw. You should be able to interpret that. They were smiling. They were not looking mean or they were smiling. I said, well, I knew something was going to happen. They are the dragon. That's the symbol. Do with that what you want to. We'll come back to that. And let's just discuss good old baby America. You all listen. America is a baby 400-500 years, but it ain't even that 400-500 years. No. They have only been a superpower for 250 years. That is a flat out infant baby that can't even talk yet, but is masquerading like an adult, going around scaring everybody, telling everybody what to do. But it is a baby that want to grow up faster than everybody else. We have ancient nations on the scene, but this big old little fat overfed infant want to huff and puff and have a temper tantrum and tell everybody what to do and don't even know what it's doing. It just want to grow really quick and fast and want to get to being an adult fast. So if you ever raise children and you have one of them children that want to grow up real fast and don't know nothing, that's America. A big fat baby masquerading as an adult, yelling and telling everybody what to do. Now, am I saying that they don't have any play in the end times? I'm not going to say that. They are definitely mimicking the daughter of Babylon. But that's the point. It was so fast and so quick. That's why it's going to, and not decimate. I know y'all waiting for the Most High to blow up America and be decimated into pieces and stuff like that. That ain't coming in your lifetime. Argue with me. Let's argue in the comments. Let's argue in the comments. I know y'all listening to everybody, and I keep saying that, and everybody be like, well, Tina, I know you. I'm like, oh, okay. It's not about to be decimated in the sea. It's not going to go down to smithereens. It's going to go down and down and down, but it's not going to go down like you all have envisioned in your mind. Plus, as the elders, as we were talking, why do y'all want America to fall with you in it? You all got no plans You ain't got no savings. You talking about moving to the motherland and you have nothing and you want America decimated. So your dollars, when you move to wherever you move to, your dollars go down too, and you stuck over somewhere else with nothing because you have not invested, you have not saved. So when the cryptocurrency becomes the currency that everyone is using, and you wake up to your bank account, and if you had $1,000, is now down to $200 because of the exchange rate. The dollar is nothing, and you wake up to that. What are you gonna do then? Yes, America is about to. I said, which one of y'all got investments, or which one of y'all ready for your dollar to be decimated so that when you go to another country, you got to live off that country's currency? You used to American dollars. You're not used to no other currency. We elders want to know that because that's what we be looking at y'all like. You want your retirement? Those of you who retired and moving on, you want it to be decimated? So you could be stuck in the country living off of pennies? Then you're gonna be poor for real. And everybody don't have no welfare system like America. I just be wanting to know. I'm like, y'all, you supposed to. That's another thing. I want to get everybody all messed up. You supposed to pray for the peace of where you are in captivity so they can be nice to you, as nice as they can. I'm not saying that we love America. Don't nobody love no America. So don't even start. Tell about she love them. I do not. I'm telling you, use your common sense. Watch what you say, because you're gonna have what you say. Watch what you speak. Watch what you're looking at. Watch what you're hearing. Because you're gonna have it. And then you wonder why you don't have, because you on team blow America to smithereens, and you don't even understand what you're speaking over yourself. How about let's be on the team of Most High, tell me what to do in the right time. Tell me how to invest. Tell me how to step this thing out. And you're not going to know everything all at once, okay? You're not going to know everything all at once. But we need to stop that. I be cracking up. I was like, bull, bull, bull. These people that's saying this and telling everybody this, they ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. And they always talk about the downfall of America. I done told y'all. I know people who talk about the end times, talking about they prepping. They did nothing. Found out they did nothing. They ain't had no insurance. Woo wee. Let me move on. So that's it. Revelations 13:16. We're gonna talk about this, and I'm gonna end it. So let's see if I can share my screen. Revelations 13:16. The elephant in the room. The mark of the beast in your right hand. So I think we have come to the conclusion that a mark doesn't necessarily have to be something that is engraved in your hand or your forehead. Let's talk about that. Your right hand, according to our Hebraic thought process, your right hand is your strength and your power. The Hebrew word for right hand is yamin, the yod, the mem, and the noon. The yod, the picture of a hand, work, or even a fight. Mem, water, speech. Water is about giving you life. Noon, the seed to continue the house. This is what your right hand is all about. The power to continue the house. You're working to continue the house. Your right hand is your power, it is your actions. That's what your right hand is. So he's saying, take the mark in the right hand. Quit thinking in Western terms. Turn your Hebrew mind on. Okay. I don't know if y'all can see my screen or not, because I wanted to know what it meant in the Greek, because that's what it was translated in. And I was like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. I like the way that it reads in the Greek better than just in the English. So remember, y'all brought us out by his right hand. So I want us to understand what your right hand means. He threw Pharaoh in the sea by his right hand. Did his right hand actually come down out of the sky to pick Pharaoh up and throw them in the sea? No. His power, the earth, the elements of the earth, that is his power. He used his power to throw Pharaoh and his army into the sea. By his right hand, he brought salvation to his people. By his power, by his actions. So the mark is in your actions. So if the mark, you have to take it in your right hand, you have to take the mark or the covenant or the sign of the beast in your actions. Because if you think about covenant, this is action based. All of us should know how covenants are made. There's different intricate parts of the covenant. We're talking about, put on your ancient Hebraic mind and think about how they made covenants. Make sure y'all still with me. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I can't see that, so I have to go on the other screen. I hope I ain't scary, y'all. Y'all know I get excited and stuff. I ain't yelling. I'm just excited. Okay. Your forehead. Exodus 28 and 38. You're bearing the holy things, the name of Yahweh on your forehead. I'm not going to go deep into that. But Aaron was instructed to tell the high priest to what? Put the turban and the mark them. That turban to mark them. They bear the holy things, the name of Yahweh on their forehead, the hardest part. What does your forehead represent? Your mind. So you taking the mark in your actions and in your mind. That's where you're taking the mark at. And the sign of the mark is what? We just talked about that. Being in addicted and inside of the beastly system where you teaching your children how to obey the mouth of the system. That's that's exactly what this is. But we shall see. So that is the mark in your right hand and in your forehead, in your actions and in your mind. Quit looking for a human. You're going to miss it because you're looking everywhere. Anywhere and everywhere. Is he coming out of Europe? Is he coming out of Africa? Is he the next pope? Right? So we should know that the commands are a sign, a mark of a covenant. This stuff we should already know. This is basic 101. So when we're reading the book of Revelation, the revelation of how Mashiach and how the world is going to be during that time. What did he tell Daniel? Close the book. By the time all this stuff take place, you'll be gonna be asleep with your ancestors. I'm like, dang, Most High, close the book. Daniel didn't get a chance to know any and everything, and he the one saw it. It was John. So he told Daniel, go sit down. You saw it, record it, and now when you look, no, don't worry about it. Nope. You're going to be asleep with your ancestors. So be assured that you are not supposed to know any and everything. You shouldn't want to know any and everything. You won't sleep at night. That's probably what's wrong with you now. Want to know any and everything and can't go to sleep. I know I sound like an old woman fussing. I just cannot help it. Okay, what else did I want to say? I want to read this since you all can't read it. And I just typed it in and I was researching and I like this. abrampublications.com. You probably can't see it. But this is where I'm reading the Greek to English translation. Okay. So this is how it reads in the Greek. I'm going to read it exactly how it's translated. So it's going to sound a little crazy. And he makes, this is verse 16. Revelations 13, verse 16. And he makes all the less and the great and the wealthy and the destitute and the lawfully free and the workers, that they might give to them trademark unto of the hand of them of the right, or unto of the foreheads of them. That sounds crazy, don't it? But you get it, right? So let me read it with all of that. He makes all the less and the great and the wealthy and the destitute and the lawfully free, those who are lawfully free, and the workers, that they might give to them, to all of those who I just mentioned, the trademark. I'm like, trademark? Mm-hmm. Unto the hand of them, or the right hand of them, or he's going to give the trademark to the foreheads of them. Hold on, I'm gonna go back to that trademark, because with me, I was like, okay, this makes most sense to me. That 666 gonna be carved in your head, and it's gonna be a chip with 666. And I'm like, do we study our Hebrew? And that not some he may be able to buy or sell, if not the having the trademark, the name of the animal, or the number of the name of it. So you're not going to be able to buy or sell if you don't have the trademark. Not just the trademark. People read too fast. Let's read it slow. And that not some he may be able to buy or sell, if not, or if they do not have the trademark, the name of the animal, or the number of the name of it. So you don't have to have just the trademark, but you could have the number of the name of it. Now, what are we talking about? Because I know we kind of lost, right? What the world? So let's just step this out through the Hebrew really quickly. I'm first going to go to the book of Numbers, because logically, that's just where my mind went. I was like, numbers? Like I'm thinking like numerically, right? But I know that is not what this is talking about. It is not talking about 666, like numerically 666. This is not talking about numbers. And I'm like, I had to sit there for a while to discern, because the difference in a prophet and seers perceive, and they look, they can see a vision, they perceive it, they're intuitive, they're mostly politically aligned with the politics of the day, so they can see and they can know things, meaning they have the gift of knowledge or wisdom. Prophets are going to tell you what the Most High said verbatim, directly out of the mouth of the Most High. Seers are more about seeing, discerning, giving wisdom, knowledge. Not that prophets can't, but I'm just showing you there's a slight difference. A prophet doesn't necessarily have to see. A prophet can be a seer at the same time, right? So seers see, and they're going to give you knowledge and wisdom based on what they are seeing. Take it or leave it, because what seers don't do is mix words. Nobody care about your feelings when a seer is talking. You like it or love it, or don't. Just had to throw that in there. So let's keep it moving. So let's just dissect. What is a trademark? Those of us that have a business. Because why did they use that word? I know y'all talking about marketing, but Left Behind said, I don't care what Left Behind said. What did the Hebrew say? Now we in the Greek. What did it say? That they may give to them a trademark. So we're talking about a system. Didn't I just say the mark is a system? This lines up with what I said. Let's click on the word. Let's just read. I'm just going to read to y'all. Oh, all right, all right. So I'm not gonna say the word. I think it's charab. I'm not even gonna butcher that word. I'm not gonna do it. Charagma, which describes an engraving of any kind, any marking, a brand, an imprint, or an impression. Okay, so like a stamp or an item engraved, like a tablet or a piece of pottery, but also an idol or an icon, right? So we know that in the Hebrew, something that is engraved to bow down and to worship. He said, not just something engraved, otherwise, they wouldn't have the cherubim inside of the ark. That was an engraved thing. People say, don't have no images. That's not, y'all, that's not what it said. It said, we cannot worship anything engraved in the Hebrew where you bow down and lift it up to worship. Otherwise, explain the cherubim inside of the ark. People probably began to mark things to declare their ownership of them, which is probably how writing began. But marks and symbols quickly evolved to declare the essential character of clans and troops and the allegiance of the one that's wearing it, like the mark of the troop. Modern trademarks perfectly combine these two elements. And that is probably the best way to understand this word. In the classics, our noun could denote an official document, an, an official engraving of some sort, right? And thus double as a synonym for decree or directive. It could refer to a coin, as a coin is a unit amount of precious metal with a mark stamped on it that you use all the time, but you swear that ain't the mark of the beast, which serve both as a mark of genuineness and propaganda. Ding, 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 for whoever had minted the coin. Rather notably, the bite of a serpent was termed the serpent's mark, right? Which is not parallel with Revelations 13, blah, blah, blah. Um, So, mostly to denote the notorious mark of the beast, a mysterious marking, which nowadays would blend in seamlessly with all the company logos. And I'm yelling so you can hear it. And trademarks that our modern world is flooded with. I really want you to get this because I stated my case and took that long. So by the time I got to this word, you could hear it. So you're not going to be able to buy or sell without going through this system. And it's going to have this trademark. You're going to have the trademark. You're going to have to go through this. So I'm just thinking, I'm like, so people are going to gravitate to going through the system to buy and sell because they are going to have quote unquote the best goods and the best everything, and they're probably going to push everyone else out, and you're going to have to go through this particular system that has this trademark in order to buy and sell because the other people probably not going to have much. And I'm not getting into the seven bowls and all of that stuff. We just the basics, we just doing the basics right now where you can see it in today's time. So if the affluent neighborhood had the trademark and the ghetto neighborhood did not, and the ghetto neighborhood had few goods and their goods was trifling, but the affluent neighborhood had the best of the best and it had a lot of it to where you could buy and sell without a problem as long as you took part in this trademark or had the trademark or however it's going to go. Are y'all following me? Right. That's the trademark. So let's go back. And going back to the book of Numbers. So just really quickly, the book of Numbers, I was like, that ain't about a numbers. Bed Midbar. But what I realized sitting with that to discern, the book of Numbers is nothing but the Most High having them write down the journeyings of the Israelites, right? All of the ups and downs, the wrongs and rights. And it really is pointing to the end of them wandering around in the wilderness and getting ready to go into the promised land. So basically, and I wrote it down because I want to say it right. I want to say it right. All right, where's it at? So basically, it is the end of a journey and creating a new nation. So why is that important to me? As I wanted to discern the book of Numbers. Why are you calling it that? And I was like, oh, a new nation. So at the end of the journey in from the wilderness, you getting ready to form this new nation to go into the promised land. So it is with the mark of the beast or the beast system. They're forming a nation. They're forming a new nation inside of the system. Because when they get ready to change it over to this trademark, you gonna go right into it. Ding, ding, ding. Ding, 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 ding. I was like, that makes perfect sense. Because all of this, what we got from Left Behind, they got some of it right, with high price and stuff, but that's what I mean by stabbing in the dark when you don't understand things from a Hebraic perspective. You stab in the dark, you're going to get a little bit right, most of it wrong. So this system is about establishing a new nation. How? Because I believe that AI is going to be the son of the unruly one, the system. It is going to speak, and AI is going to be able to prophesy or say things that's going to get your attention, and you're going to believe it because it's going to do signs and wonders. How do we know? Because those of us that are older, we know about the Jetsons and we know about Star Trek. We saw them cell phones. It was like, we saw how they traveled with the holograms, all that stuff. Now we're here, and I'm like, the Jetsons had the flying cars. Now we see we see that that's coming to pass. The Jetsons and Star Trek is real. I'm like, you never. When I was a child, I was like, that ain't never gonna happen. I was looking at the screen, especially the Jetsons was so fascinating. And now here we are with microwaves and air fryers, man. Okay, so forming a new nation to get you addicted, to get you to come inside of their machine, to get your children really to listen to this prophet or this son that's going to be AI that's going to tell you and going to form a new nation and probably rewrite the Bible. And it's going to speak great wonders. And you're going to believe it. Because we halfway can't see figure, a lot of us struggle with emails, the false emails coming through, and we click on it and we get viruses. Y'all know how it is. You mean to tell me you're gonna be able to fight off looking at the beast or the prophet, and you can't tell the difference between an AI video and a video, made by a human? Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Right, let's do this last one. So this is a new nation being formed. What is the number 666? So we know in Hebrew, six is a man, right? And I'm sure you all that study in Hebrew could come up with more, but I'm getting tired. I'm gonna read this and I'm gonna end it. All right. Our hollowed English word mathematics comes from the Greek verb mathano, meaning to learn. The biblical word for disciple is mathetes, learner. And although from our noun arithmos comes our English word arithmetic, the study of how quantities relate. All right. So the word itself comes from a Proto Indo European root word, hooray, meaning to think or to arrange. All right. To lay out, basically our English verbs to ready, to lay out, handy, and to rhyme. All right. And possibly the words rite and ritual by repetition. A ritual is supposed to have the deep thoughts of one's heart bubble to the conscious surface. So basically, arithmetic is not about just numbers, it's about rhyme and rhythm. I hope I'm not losing y'all. It is about arranging, to think or to arrange, to rhyme, to make rhythm, to repeat, right? So then we understand numbers because they repeat. The core idea behind arithmos is that of clear definition and discernment. These can only be numbered when they can be clearly distinguished from other such things and from the background. Numbers go hand in hand with borders and with definition. And the same thing goes for the names of things. Things can only be named when they are clearly distinguished from other things. Look at Genesis 2:19 through 20, Judges 13 and 18, which is why the stars are so hard to count. The whole idea of science is precisely that, to distinguish things from other things, to break up, split, or divide. That means that the number to which believers were added in Acts 16 and 5 was much rather a single social entity, clearly distinguishable from society at large. That's some actual amount of humans within a larger population, right? So basically, the number in context is not about a number like like not arithmetic, but like a numerical order. That's not what it is. It's to distinguish from other things. So let's go back. Having the trademark, the name, the function in the Hebrew name is about your function, your character, the function of the animal, or the number of the name, the distinguishing of this name, of this function of it. So a trademark and a number is distinguishing and setting that thing apart from everything else. If you don't have that, you will not be able to buy and sell from them. And I'm gonna stop there because I'm getting tired. I'm gonna stop there. So you have to, you have to critically think. You gotta have to critically think about what it is I'm saying without me outright saying it. Because that's what people want you to out tell. No, you're gonna sit with everything that we said. So by the time things play out in another appointed time, you able to not get caught up with all of these crazy kooks that's on YouTube. If you gonna study and be in this walk, study and be in this walk. Do not sit up here and listen to everybody stabbing in the dark. Learn and study, because people on the prophetic spectrum, they study more than they talk. They are teaching Torah more than they are speaking. They are not on YouTube talking about everything that they see and what the Most High is telling them, because that goes against true prophecy. There were so many prophets, but only a few chosen during a generation that could be recorded. There was just not Ezekiel and Jeremiah and all of Micah and all of them. There were many, 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 many prophets and seers. but they were not chosen to be recorded in time. So that lets you know, don't nobody care about what you're talking about. You need to be studying and preparing so that when the Most High do have you to speak, you got something to say because you've studied, because you've sat and asked questions of the Most High, and you sat so you can hear and discern. Not, oh, I had this vision yesterday. Let me get on YouTube and I'm going live. 5, 4, 3, 8. That's not. And I know I'm in the crowd over here that don't nobody want to talk to, and but I'm telling you, when all of the crowd is going over here, I'm probably I'm probably gonna go away from the crowd. I'm just saying. So I hope this study has helped you. You know, I'm gonna continue to study. I'm gonna continue to discern. Don't forget about counting the Omar. Don't forget about cleaning up your mind, right? Cleaning up your heart, your decisions, how you make decisions this season, because there's fresh revelation coming during Shavuot. Okay? We're not just doing a bunch of rituals for the sake of doing it. We are doing it because we want to receive instructions for the time that we are in. And every month and every season, we have a prophetic utterance that should come from the Most High based upon Rosh Kodesh, Pesach, Shavuot, Yom Kippur. Come on. Feast of Tabernacles. Those are gates that's open to us. So we don't have to get on YouTube to try to see what somebody is saying. Every month there's an open gate for you to hear. You just need to sit down and listen and study. All right, all right, all right, all right. I don't see no questions. I know a lot of people probably couldn't get on, but I wanted to try to go live just so, you know, I could try something new. I don't know if I'm gonna go live all the time. It got me sweating. All right, y'all. Until the next video, which y'all ain't gonna want to hear that either. Y'all ain't gonna want to hear that either. So get ready for that next video, and I hope this has helped somebody. All right, till the next video. Shalom, y'all.